Huh? Huh? Huh?
So I got a comment from an individual this morning on the video that I did about Shakur Stevenson ducking Raymond Mortala. And it wasn't a bad comment, but it was one that required a response. Here you go.
Straighter, not a roundhouse right hand.
And that's what we've been talking about. The straight shot is the one where he gets leverage on it.
I don't want to kill
Pull
somebody
back
for
a
a
little
few
bit.
seconds.
Nah, I want a body on my record.
Now, I want to see you fight motherfuckers. I do. All right, I'm with you. I'm with you. As long as you're trying to fight the great, the best competition.
So, an individual named Finding Peace 20, Common Sense Alert, says, I don't care for Shakur, but why would Top Rank feed Raymond to Shakur knowing Shakur contract was up? You'd lose Shakur to another promotional company, then Raymond would continue under Top Rank with an L. Logically, this video is a huge miss. Just subscribe though, because I'm a boxing junkie. So you're entitled to your opinion, and I respect it. It wasn't a disrespectful comment or some type of goofy ass statements or stuff like that. It wasn't. It was just more of something where you believe your stance, and I can respect it. However, that's what this video is about, right? This video is about your stance and letting you know that your stance, although valid, is an old stance. So let's break this down. You don't care for Shakur. Well, I can respect it, but again, I don't. There's only one fighter I don't like, and that's Dillian White. Really, that's the only fighter I don't like. I don't really have this type of things for other fighters. You know what I'm saying? It's their moves that I address. But again, you're entitled to not caring for who you don't care for. But your question of why would Top Rank feed Raymond to Shakur, knowing Shakur's contract is up? Your question is a question of a fan and not a diehard, because you're not necessarily feeding anyone to anyone. You're just making fights, right? If I'm Bob Arum and I control Top Rank, I control both of their careers. If this man's his time with me is up, then I want to maximize that, right? I want to maximize that. I want to get as much bang for my buck out of him right away. Now you can say, well, hey, well, this guy right here is an up and coming, and if I fight Shakur, if I fight these two together and this man loses, then now he's got an L, right? That's fine. The Lomachenko has 3 L's, right? Lomachenko has 3 L's. And we're caught in this error of a loss breaks you and wins make you. That is not the case, my brother. That's not the case at all. And I'll do a video specifically about that. Since you're subscribed, you should see it on the morning grind, right? A loss does not break you, and wins don't make you. It's more to it. And like I said, I'll make sure you tune into that video, right? So you're talking about Raymond Mortala losing. You're just writing them off already. You're just writing them off. Why would they feed Raymond to Shakur knowing Shakur's contract is up? In your mind, and it's a lot of people's thoughts right now, that Shakur just beats everybody. There's no competition. No, he's just going to wash Raymond. Well, what if Raymond wins? No one's thinking about that at all. Now you're saying you lose Shakur to a promotional company. Well, what if you don't lose Shakur? Because Shakur's reason for leaving was he knows his worth and he can't get fights. You couldn't get him any fights. Raymond Mortala is a fight. It's absolutely a fight. So if you gave him if you gave him Raymond Mortala and gave them each other, they're both good fighters. They both bring their own styles to the table, right? You have this preconceived notion that Shakur would just win right away, which is why your statement of logically this video is a huge miss, right? That statement is based on you just believing Shakur just beats Ray Mortala. Just know he just beats him. So, you know, I'm damaging my brand by having my fighter have a loss. No, you're not damaging your brand. You're making a warrior. Edwin De Los Santos' brand is not damaging. He's got what, 2 losses? But Edwin De Los Santos went the distance, and people say that Shakur Stevenson ran from De Los Santos. He ran from De Los Santos. Yeah, Shakur won, but really, did he win? He won the fight. He's got the belt, but he ran. So the person that looked at as the more notarized fighter, right, with the more eyes, right? The more people are looking at him, this guy right here, he's it. That's Edwin De Los Santos, because Shakur ran from him. So De Los Santos lost. He's got the L in his resume, but does he? People are right now, even Shakur himself talk about De Los Santos. Nobody will fight De Los Santos. Won't Tank fight De Los Santos? This is what Shakur is saying. So even in the L, the defeat, did he lose? So let's just take a peek at what they all have to gain and lose in this scenario, right? Let's just take a peek. So if you're looking at Shakur Stevenson fighting Edwin De Los Santos, because we're looking at the business of this. That's what everybody always talks about. It's the business, BF. It's the business of boxing. It's the business. Well, in this, you are having an opportunity of re-signing Shakur with a big name, with a bigger name, because he's not the biggest. Ray Mortala ain't the biggest names, but he's a big name, though. He's not the biggest, but he is a big name. You're building Shakur's resume, because if we're taking it as Shakur is going to win, Shakur beats Raymond, right? Okay, well, that still gives Shakur Stevenson, just because he goes and signs with another promotional company doesn't mean he won't come back. There's many fighters who go sign to different promotional companies and end up re-signing with the promotional company they started with or with another promotional company. Just because you leave the promotional company doesn't mean that you won't come back. And these fighters remember how you treated them when you was with them. They remember that. So if they have a good experience while they're with you and, you know, y'all time just ran its course, so they go somewhere else. Well, if they had a good experience, well, they'll come back to that promotional company. So when you're building this man's resume, you're helping him build his resume. You can always, there will always be, you know, love and respect between you guys. It's just, hey, my time here ran its course, right? It'll solidify Shakur Stevenson over the talking tweets. That's all he be doing is talking and tweeting. Whether we care for the man or not, whether we like the man or not, right? All he does is talk and goddamn tweet all the time. He doesn't really fight anybody. Just talks about nobody wants to fight him and blah, 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 which is 100% cap, because in the video that you commented on, it showed that Raymond Mortala wanted to fight him. He was trying to fight him, called the man out by name multiple times, right? So that gets Shakur Stevenson's name out of the trash, because his name is in the gutter right now, badly. Like badly, like, bro, you just doing a lot of talking, bro. You're not doing nothing. It answers questions about some style, because Raymond Mortala he's going to press him. And not only is he going to press him, he's coming to fight. Not to say that Edwin De Los Santos didn't come to fight, but Edwin De Los Santos had a specific style that was not conducive for him to have success against Shakur unless Shakur mixed it up. Raymond Mortala has a different style. He brings a different style to the fight, right? It keeps Shakur's name as the #1 name for Tank, because right now he got passed, bro. Keyshawn Davis is the #1 name for Tank right now. Shakur Stevenson got passed. He got passed up big time, bro. Big time passed. By his little brother, he got passed. It gets him a $3 million guaranteed payday, plus whatever other back-end bread, if there is any, but it still gets him a big payday, bro. He was supposed to fight Joe Cordina. He didn't fight Joe Cordina. So he hasn't gotten a paycheck at all. Which goes right into the next one. It keeps him active. It keeps him as an active fighter. Activity is like the biggest killer, bro. Inactivity and activity is like the biggest killer. Your fighter being inactive, man, that stuff matters, man. Even though people will say it doesn't matter, it absolutely matters, man. 100% matters. Activity matters like a motherfucker, right? And then it keeps him looking like the number one guy over there. I was just talking about how Keyshawn Davis passed this man in the Tank Davis sweepstakes because he did. But him beating Raymond Mortala is a better victory than Shakur beating a Lemon. It's way better. Raymond Mortala's undefeated. Raymond Mortala's ranked number 2 over there. Motherfucking Lemon, this dude Lee Moore Lemon, just coming off a loss to motherfucking Richard Hitchens. I don't give a damn if people say, oh, it was debatable, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. That doesn't matter. He was a loss is a loss, right? A loss is a loss. Now, it don't make and break you, which is why he was able to get the Keyshawn Davis fight, but it's still a loss, right? So in the eyes of the people, it's like, okay, well, Raymond Mortala was a better fighter. That's what they'll say. Raymond Mortala was a better fighter based on that loss. And that's just in the respect of comparing Shakur's opponent to Keyshawn's opponent, right? So then you look at the business of Raymond Mortala. Like, what does Raymond Mortala get from this, right? So if you're looking at the business of that, it gives him a title shot. There, he's number 2, so he's deserving of the title shot. And specifically, when you're saying no one wants to fight you, you don't have to sit and wait for your number 1 William Zapata to fight you. You could fight the number 2. And then if William Zapata wants to fight you, then hey, William Zapata wants to fight you. It is what it is. Now you have the number 1 and the number 2 on your resume, right? So this gives Raymond an opportunity at a title fight. It builds Raymond's resume. So we're talking about, remember now, keeping Raymond, because Raymond's at top rank. He ain't going anywhere. So now Raymond can say, I fought for a title. I may have lost, but at least I fought for one. He can't say that right now. He can say, man, I got Shakur Stevenson on my resume and I gave him a good fight, the same way Edwin De Los Santos can. Or he can say, I got him on my resume and I beat him. That is building Raymond Mortala if he beats Shakur, right? Even in defeat, it proves he belongs based on how he fights, how the fight goes. You know what I'm saying? It proves he belongs. It pushes him up even in defeat. We've already talked about this, about when it comes to Edwin De Los Santos being pushed up even in defeat. Even with in defeat for Artem Bum. Artem is not called a bum. They say, oh, well, look what he did with Frank Martin. They give him a pass because of Frank Martin. So even in defeat with Artem Bum, and he was coming off a loss to Frank Martin, and he fought Shakur Stevenson. But even coming off a loss with Artem Bum got to fight for a title over Raymond Mortala, who was undefeated. What does this do? It builds top rank, because having Raymond Mortala versus Shakur Stevenson is a better fight than Shakur Stevenson versus Artem Bum. That puts more eyes on top rank. That says, oh man, top rank is making the fights. Top rank is making the fights. So that's more money for the next guy. What does it do for Bob Arum? It gets him paid first and foremost. 100% gets him paid. It shows he's trying to make fights for Shakur. So now people don't look at Bob Arum and say Bob Arum is the reason why Shakur left, yada, 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 blah, 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 blah. No, now they're looking at Shakur saying, bro, it was you, because Bob Arum was getting you fights. He got you Raymond Mortala. That's an in-house fight of a number 2 ranked fighter, a good fighter, undefeated fighter, right? That helps Bob Arum. It gives Bob Arum is giving Core a big name. So like I said to you before, even if Shakur Stevenson beats Raymond Mortala and leaves, they have good rapport now because I gave you a good name, right? I gave you a good name. So with that good name, you can say, oh, well, it wasn't Bob Arum, it was those other fighters now. Now they're not blaming Bob and they're not blaming Shakur. They're blaming the other fighters because Bob gave you a good name. He gave you a big name, right? It shows he's making fights not just for Shakur, but also for Raymond Mortala. That's good business for Bob Arum, because now it says, hey, if I'm an up-and-coming prospect or an up-and-coming fighter and I'm looking for a promoter, I'm going to sign to Bob Arum because look what he did for Raymond Mortala and Shakur. Raymond Mortala got a title shot. This is what I'm talking about. I'm going over there. These guys are not just going to build me and build me and build me, but build me for what? They're not building me for nothing. They're building me for whatever, right? And then I get to fight an opportunity to fight for a vacant title, but I don't get the opportunity to fight for, you know what I'm saying, a champion, a name. I don't get that opportunity, right? It's by giving Ray a title shot, that goes right into what I was just saying, and also what happens for Ray. But this is also coming from what Bob Arum is doing, right? And then it also, what if Ray wins, right? He is attempting to keep the title with Top Rank. Ray is a good enough fighter that he could actually win that fight. Now, would I pick him to win? No, I wouldn't pick him to win. I wouldn't pick him to win at all. But he has the opportunity to do so. It's there, right? That opportunity of him to do it is on the table. I'm giving him a chance to do it. What if he wins? Now my fighter, who is staying with me and signed to me, right? And he ain't going nowhere. Now my fighter won the fight. So now he won the fight. And Shakur Stevenson, good riddance. You go to another promotional company, but you go without this title, and now you have an L, right? And then what that does is say, okay, well, maybe Shakur wants to re-sign to avenge his loss, as long as he can re-sign to get a title shot. I'm getting Shakur Stevenson back. He has a loss. He avenges that loss. Now he's a WBC champion again. And he's still under my promotional company, so I move his career how I want to move it. Right now, I can, the same thing with Ray Mortala. I can get him other fights. We're no longer worried about him being undefeated, right? We're no longer worried about that. That's a no longer thing right there. Now we're looking at him in a different light. We're saying, oh, he's a warrior. He's a warrior, man. Yeah, he might have lost, but he came back and fought the rematch and he got it back. And now look at him, blah, 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 right? The same thing we do with Jermell Charlo before he fought Canelo Alvarez. Right? They just changed the narrative and weren't talking about him being an undefeated fighter. They were talking about him fighting in a great division and being the undisputed champion, and he's a warrior, blah, blah, blah. So those are all the things that can happen right now, bro. Right now. All of those things. So when you're looking at it one way, like Shakur is just going to win now. He's absolutely going to win. Ain't nobody going to beat Shakur. He's just going to be, I don't really care for Shakur, but I'm not feeding him my guy. So he beats my guy and then walks out the door after putting a loss on my guy's resume. If I put it, boxing is about daring to be great. I'm trying to do some shit. So if Raymond Mortala versus Shakur Stevenson is available, Shakur Stevenson's walking out the door, I feed you the terminology feed. I feed Raymond to Shakur, which I don't agree with that at all. That's a good fucking fight. And anybody can win. Of course I would favor Shakur Stevenson. It doesn't mean that Shakur is going to win. It just means I favor him. He might be the heavy favored. Doesn't mean he's guaranteed to win. Specifically, if I'm Bob Arum, the judges belong to me and you're fighting on a top ranked card. As long as Raymond makes it debatable, hell, I can rob Shakur Stevenson. I can get this man robbed. Yeah, I can get this man robbed if that's the case. But needless to say, if I'm not going to do all that, if I'm doing this, I'm looking at Raymond's future, not Shakur's. I'm looking at Raymond's future and my future. If Raymond wins, he goes into this fight and he wins. Bam. That's what's up. I keep the WBC title. If he loses, so what? I'll put him in his next fight will be a title eliminator, and his next fight after that, he'll be fighting for another title. He's going to fight Denis Baranchyk right now. They're literally in negotiations now, right? So what if Raymond loses to Denis Baranchyk? Then he has an L in his resume. He's still part of Top Rank. He hasn't gone nowhere. So he just got a loss on his resume against Denis Baranchyk. So Denis has now beat Raymond Mortala. Denis is now still the WBO champion and undefeated. Raymond Mortala still has his L, whether it was Shakur or Denis. He still belongs to me, so I can still move his career how I want to. I can get him another, put him in an eliminator and have him fight Lomachenko. Now you've got 2 title fights. You still got a loss. But you belong to me. You're my fighter. I can push this however I want to. Oh man, Raymond Mortala had put on a great performance against Shakur, but Shakur is an elite level fighter, and you know no one's going to beat Shakur. Blah blah blah. Yeah, I can push that narrative, and then put this man right in there with Denis Baranchyk, and put him right in there with Vasyl Lomachenko. No problem. They all belong to me. They're all under Top Rank's banner. So it made more sense to attempt to keep the WBC title at Top Rank, because now if Raymond Mortala fights Shakur and beats Shakur, I now control the WBC title, the WBO title, and the IBF title. There's only one title I don't control if Raymond wins. And now with Raymond beating Shakur, Raymond has now catapulted his name and his status, his notoriety, everything. He's catapulted everything above Lomachenko, above Denis Baranchyk. He is now my #1 lightweight, Raymond Mortala. Lomachenko's on his way out. I can do that unification right there and hope that Raymond beats this man. Or I can put Shakur Stevenson, Keyshawn Davis, who's also in my stable, against Lomachenko. So now I have Keyshawn, who beats Lomachenko, Lomachenko's on his way out. So now Keyshawn is the IBF champion, Denis is the WBO champion, and Raymond is the WBC, and he beat Shakur. That is a fight built already, because Shakur now is over with Matchroom with a loss, fighting Joe Corona 6-pack. Shakur's over there with a loss fighting Joe Corona. You have Raymond Mortala with me, who beat Shakur, who happens to be Keyshawn's big brother. That is a match already made. It's already built. A unification between Raymond, who beat Keyshawn's big brother, and Keyshawn, who beat Lomachenko. That's a pay-per-view fight, all in-house, between Raymond and Keyshawn, with a backstory built in. The risk has to outweigh the reward, and if Bob Arum would have put Shakur versus Raymond, the risk does. It absolutely outweighs the reward. 100%. 100%. So for you to say the video is a huge miss, that's because you missed the point, my brother. BFTB, shout out to the mighty LDBC. I'm out. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, subscribe to my Patreon. And if you feel like supporting me, please support me in the PayPal or the Cash App.